We use AutoGen, which is a framework for multiple agents to communicate to solve mathematical problems, especially the complex ones. AutoGen requires Python 3.8 and higher versions. If we want to use the mathematical part of AutoGen, we use PyAutoGen, Math Chat. We create a user agent and an assistant agent. User agent is the proxy for the user, which is the math proxy agent. And the assistant agent is the LLM model itself. First, we send a prompt to the assistant agent. If it understands how to do it, it finds all the answer and gives the response, where the last response will have slash boxed and then two parentheses. If it does not know the answer as to how to solve the prompt, it asks questions to the math proxy agent, and based on the reply, it again does a series of back and forth with the math proxy agent till it understands how to solve the problem and finally gives a response. This we can see as an example. I'm trying to solve a problem in probability. The first prompt that goes from the math proxy agent to the assistant agent is, let's use Python to solve a math problem. Query requirements, you should always use the print function for the output and use fractions, bar, radicals, forms instead of decimals, and so on. And it gives a set of ideas as to how it has the answer, how it expects the answer to be solved. And finally, it says put the answer in slash boxed, and then we give the problem. The assistant does not know how to solve the problem, so it asks the math proxy agent, okay, are these the sequence of steps I need to follow? And then it tries to do it using Python. And then the math proxy agent helps the assistant to move further by saying, continue, please keep solving the problem till you need to query. If you get the answer, put it in this format. And then the assistant again tries a series of steps and sends the following response to the math proxy agent. And it finally calculates an answer. Then the math proxy agent sends the information to the assistant saying, this is how you've calculated the probability, but I do not know the language or understand the language. And that is because we expected it to be in this format. So that is why the agent said that it did not understand the language. And finally, the assistant again replies to the math proxy agent in the format that it expected. And the minute it saw this format, it is understood that this is the last response and that the entire process stops. Step 1, we import AutoGen, and then in config_list, which has to be given as a list, we specify as a dictionary the model that we're going to use and the API key. And then from autogen.agentchat.contrib.math user proxy agent, we import math user proxy agent, and we ask the chat completion class to log the LLM calls. We create an assistant agent instance and we call it as assistant, and we call the name of the assistant also as assistant, and the system message that we are sending is you are a helpful assistant. And we specify 3 different configurations, that is the maximum time in seconds for which the LLM will wait for a response from the user given as request timeout, and the random seed value used by the LLM. And in config list, we give the model and the API key to be used. We also need to create an instance of math user proxy agent. And if we want to allow human input mode in between, that is, it is allowed for a human to interact in between, then we do not give it as never, but by default, we say that the human input mode is never. And how the code execution configuration is to be is given in the code execution config. To initiate an automated chat between the two agents, that is the math proxy agent and the assistant agent, we call initiate chat with the name of the assistant object, and in problem we give the text which is the prompt or the problem statement. The problem statement is given within triple quotes and it is a probability based question as seen before. In the description given below, the GitHub link for the code is provided.